What's up, everyone? Juan Ozuna here, and I just wanted to share a few thoughts of what my experience was like yesterday when we went to go get the free COVID testing at Ogden Arena. And I know that this may not be the same experience a lot of people had, but it was just my experience. And I thought it might be helpful for some people who are planning on maybe going to get the free testing that is happening. So yesterday, we went over to Dodge Arena. Actually, right before that, the day before, we had actually pre-registered. We went onto the website sent out by the city of Edinburg, and we registered our entire family. You have to create an account and stuff like that. You also have to set up an appointment time, and that turned out to be a little odd, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But we headed over to Ogden Arena and there in Edinburg, and we got in line along the frontage road. We were kind of ushered in after we showed that we had our pre-registration forms, which needed to be printed out, and we then proceeded to kind of snake through the parking lot following a bunch of other cars. And we were at Ogden Arena, I would say, for almost two and a half hours, just kind of going through this waiting, snaking process. For the most part, it was fairly organized. People were very polite and courteous as they were driving around. A lot of the National Guards people were there helping to direct traffic and stuff like that. While we were there, they did ask us how many people in our vehicle were being tested. We told them the number, and they wrote that number down on our windshield. And finally, after waiting in line and felt like we were getting towards the end, they then proceeded to wave us through and kind of direct traffic onto the next spot, which was HTV Park. This part was a little frustrating because, one, by this point, it was already way past our appointment time. Our appointment time was at 3:10, and at this point, even though we had gotten to Ogden Arena like at 2:50, 2:55, we had been waiting in our vehicle for almost two and a half hours. So by the time we were told to go to HTV Park, it was way past our appointment time. And two, it was also frustrating because nobody had talked at all about this process, what you would have to do. We didn't know about the HTV Park thing, so we were expecting to be tested there at Ogden Arena, and that did not happen. So we ended up following a bunch of cars over to HTV Park. You could tell that some people maybe didn't know where it was or were trying to go their own different route. Some people, it seemed, got lost on the way to HTV Park. There wasn't very clear signage along the road for where you were supposed to head to. And so, I don't know, maybe that caused some issues for people. But we knew where HTV Park was, and so we drove straight over there. And once we got there, we went through another waiting process. Again, we kind of got ushered through. Nobody really checked our registration forms or anything. But we just kind of got put into another snake of vehicles going through the parking lot. And at that point, we were already now about 3 hours into the process. And we ended up waiting another 2 hours, I think, before we were finally at the end. When we got to the end of the line, we were met by a nurse, maybe a doctor, who gave us several bags, one for each of the people who was being tested. Inside the bag were several different things. You had like a test tube with a cap on it. You had a long plastic swab. You had a little cloth, like maybe a Clorox wipe or something. And then you also had like a little pouch on the side where you put your folded registration form in. And the doctor gave us the instructions for how to swab ourselves. They did not do it themselves. We were told to do it ourselves. You essentially take the swab, and we were told you had to stick the swab as far up as you can into each nostril. Again, kind of very little direction on how far you were supposed to go, except that he told us, you kind of have to go as far as you can. And, the kind of test or measurement is whether you either tear up, you sneeze, or you cough. That's kind of what they're looking for. If they see any of those things, then it seems like you went far enough.
And you're going to pull it out, and you're going to put it into your nose as deep as you can without hurting yourself. Here's the clue, guys. I need you to work it in there deep enough and swivel it around to where you either shed a tear, you sneeze, or you cough. Those are the three reactions we need for you to know that you did a good swab.
Once we swabbed ourselves, We swabbed our children in the back seat. That was kind of a difficult and painful process for both them and for us. Again, right, we were kind of working blindly here. We're not medical experts, and so we didn't know whether we were doing it correctly or not. Once we did that, you take your swabs, you put them into the test tube, and you put those test tubes back into your bag with your registration slip. And then you take those packets over to the end of the line where they were picked up by the Edinburg Fire Department. Again, a lot of this was kind of frustrating. It seemed like the wait was unnecessary. It seemed like going from Ogden Arena to HTV Park was unnecessary. It caused a lot of confusion for people. You know, having to kind of test ourselves felt a little bit awkward. I'm a little bit worried because, again, I'm not a medical expert and I had no idea whether I was doing it right or not. I'm hoping for the best results for my family and myself. You know, it is kind of peace of mind. You know, we're supposed to get our results in 3 to 5 days when we check the website. And, you know, again, I'm hoping that we're all negative. I'm hoping that the tests were accurate as possible. For the most part, we were feeling good. We're feeling great. We don't really have any symptoms so far. We were doing this just to be on the safe side and make sure that things were, you know, okay, and that we haven't, you know, been infected in some way without showing symptoms. So anyway, that's my story, and hopefully this helps some people out in planning for getting testing this week. Take care.